Hey Bobcats, Mr. Flato here. Welcome back to another week at Helena Middle School, week 2 of the second semester, week 2 of the third quarter. Hope you guys are off to a great start. I hope you guys are keeping up on your schoolwork and keeping yourselves out of a hole that some of you dug yourself into the previous quarters. So with B.O.B Lessons, we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to start talking about something that's very important, and of course that's friendships and how to be a good friend. I think this is something we take for granted sometimes, of what does it look like to be a friend? What does being a good friend consist of? And what better thing than to reach out to you guys, which I did last week, and ask you guys, what characteristics do you look for in a friend? I want to know from you middle school students so that I could compile the information and talk a little bit more in detail about each one. Friendships and social connections is something that is so important. There's actually psychologists that have done studies. If you leave a newborn baby laying in its crib, it cannot survive without social interaction. It cannot survive without being picked up, being held, and having that human contact. Well, as human beings, we're the same. We need positive social interactions every day of our lives, hopefully. Some of us don't need as much as others, but having friends, having real, genuine, authentic friendships is something that is so important to our overall happiness, and is so important to develop to the development of being a young person. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. I hope you guys like this B.O.B lesson. This will probably be part 1, and I'm thinking a 4-part series here for the next month or so. We're going to break this down. Hope you guys pay attention. And as I'm talking about these, I encourage you guys to reflect on, is this something that I'm currently doing? Is this something that I'm not doing? Is this an area for improvement? Is this something I'm already doing pretty well? Because remember, in order to have a friend, you have to be a friend. What you put out into the world, you will get back. So without further ado, make it a great week, Bobcats. Let's be great friends out there this next couple weeks. Okie dokie, B.O.B Lesson 18. Characteristics of healthy friendships. But as always, before we get started, let's be Bob this week at HMS. Let's be our best. Let's be safe. Let's be responsible. Let's be respectful. And always, let's be a learner. All right, well, I compiled you guys' list, and thank you guys for doing that. This was so awesome. I was able to compile the ideas that you left me in the B.O.B box in the counseling office, and some of you had some outstanding comments there, and I was able to compile the top 20, and I added a few in of my own, and we came up with a list. And for the next few weeks, we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about these friendship characteristics. So the first one, and this was probably the one that I saw the most. Of course, it's trustworthiness, or can you be trusted? Trustworthiness is the ability to be relied on for something important. This could be something that is secretive, private, or sensitive in nature. A lot of times if you have friends, you want to confide in them, but you're not going to confide in them if you can't trust that they are going to keep that between you and them. If you can't be trusted as a friend, you may as well be a stranger. That's probably the number one characteristic of friendship that I found, was so many of you put trustworthiness down. Trustworthiness was probably the most popular answer in the B.O.B box I received, meaning it's pretty easy to say it's a prerequisite for virtually every person in this school when they're looking at friendship. And the other thing about trustworthiness that I think is very important to think about is it has to be earned over time. When you meet somebody new, maybe for some of you 6th graders, when you met somebody from a different school for the first time and you had lunch with them at their table, it took a while. You didn't really know who they were. It takes time to earn trustworthiness. And that takes time to develop, and it happens over time. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to prove yourself over time that, hey, I'm somebody that can be trusted. And conversely, once that trust is lost, it's very difficult to get it back. Okay, so trustworthiness was probably the number one answer when I was asking about characteristics for friendship. Let's go on to number 2, honesty. Being honest is a huge component to friendships and can be tricky at times, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. Honesty is also a huge component in building trustworthiness. Okay, in order to be and to build trust in friendships, you have to be honest with those around you, especially with your friends. If you can't be honest with your friends, then, if you think about it, who can you be honest with? Sometimes being honest is difficult because you don't want to hurt a friend's feelings. And this is probably the trickiest thing when I'm working with kids, when I'm hearing stories, is a lot of kids have problems navigating what can be kind of a pitfall in honest. We want to be honest with our friends, and our friends want us to be honest with them. But what do we do when the truth isn't a glamorous or an easy thing to communicate? And I'm going to give you guys an example here. I recommend using a sandwich or an Oreo statement, some of you call it. This is a great way to do this. Let's pretend that I was walking down the hallway one day, or I was in my counseling office, and I bought a new shirt. And I said to Miss Pandis, what do you think of my shirt? I just bought it yesterday. And let's pretend Miss Pandis honestly does not like my shirt. Maybe it's some weird color of orange. Maybe it's an Oregon State shirt that I wear all the time, and she really doesn't like it. But Miss Pandis is not only my colleague, but she's my friend, so she doesn't know what to do. Well, in the sandwich statement, we start with something positive. Well, Mr. Flato, she might say, you're always pretty fashionable. You dress pretty nice. You dress professionally. I don't know, that shirt really isn't my style or something I would wear, but you know what, Mr. Flato, I think it looks pretty good on you. Well, that would be an example of how she could be honest with me, but she could also do it without hurting my feelings. Okay, so when we got to be honest with friends, and sometimes it's not an easy thing to say, think about using a sandwich or an Oreo statement. You start with something positive, okay, and then you kind of give them the ugly truth or whatever it is that's tough, and then you finish it off with something positive. So a little tip there about honesty. All right, folks, quick question for you in your classrooms. I have here a glass of water, and let's pretend that this glass of water the glass holds 16 ounces, okay? Now let's also pretend that this glass has 8 ounces of water in it. Okay, so I have a question for you, and I want you to just think about it to yourself. Is this glass half empty, or is this glass half full? Okay, maybe real quick, if you think this glass is half empty, please raise your hand right now. All right, if you think this glass is half full, I want you to raise your hand right now. Okay, now I know that we are all in middle school, and we all know that the answer is both, because the glass holds 16 ounces, we have 8 ounces of water, 8 is exactly half of 16, so the answer is both full, and half empty. Okay, but I'm not getting at that. We're talking about friendships today. Okay, and unfortunately there are so many negatives and sad things everywhere in life. You look around and you can find it. Get on the internet, get on Facebook, get on the news, and there's just tough information out there everywhere. Okay, when we think of good friends, we don't think of somebody that brings us down every day. We think of someone that is fun and positive to be around. Think about it. You want to be around people that are fun and positive. That's who you want to surround yourself with if you're a fun and positive person. I've never seen people that pick out friends and I say, well, why are you friends with Mariah, or why are you friends with Sally, or why are you friends with Michael? Oh, because they're pretty negative and gloomy. I never hear that. It's why are you friends with these people? Because they're fun and positive to be around. Okay, we're talking about half full, glass half full type of people. Friends who are fun and positive to be around tend to be more enjoyable to hang out and associate with. So, and this is kind of an overall attitude about life. Okay, we can look at things in so many different ways in life. I'm encouraging all of you in your friendships and just in your everyday life, be a glass half full type of person. All right, and we're on to our fourth one, which is loyalty. And loyalty was another one that was probably one of the most important characteristics from the feedback that I got from you guys. And I think it should be right up there. Loyalty is defined as giving or showing firm and constant support or allegiance to a person or an institution. Okay, when someone is loyal, it helps build trustworthiness. And remember, trustworthiness was probably the #1 answer that I got from you guys. Loyalty is important because it shows, quote unquote, who has your back. And I know that's slang, and I got a funny picture down here of that. When times get tougher, when you need friends to lean on. Look, our friends should be there for us. Okay, and part of a huge characteristic of friendship is loyalty. Is, can I depend on them for being there? I heard a lot of you say dependability, and what dependability really is loyalty. It's that firm and constant support. I know that person is going to be there. I know that person has my back. I know that person isn't going to be talking trash or talking smack or spreading rumors or spreading gossip behind my back. If I'm not there, they're going to be speaking positive words of affirmation about me. And I have a couple little pictures down here that I thought were cool. We'll start with the one on the left. Loyalty isn't gray. We're talking about gray. We're not talking about color. We're talking about a metaphor. We're not talking somewhere in the middle. We're talking that loyalty is black or white. It's either there or not. You're either loyal completely or you're not loyal at all. And people have to understand this. You can't be loyal only when it's convenient from you. Okay, I can say that all my top friends, all my friends that are in my inner circle, they're there because they're loyal, and they've proven that over the years. Another thing about loyalty, doesn't happen overnight. It's something that we got to work for all the time. And in the bottom right, I think this is pretty funny. It says, "I've got your back," and a couple stick figures. Thank you to Mr. Kepler's art class 2, their advisor, that graded my last stick figures as a C-. I will take that all day long to the bank. Thank you, Mr. Kepler's advisor. All right, and the fifth one and the last one we're going to discuss today is, of course, respectful. I saw this one a lot. Top friendship characteristics, a lot of people put they have to be respectful. And this shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. It's one of our universals here at HMS, and for a good reason. When I talk about being respectful, I think it's my favorite and most important in my eyes. They're all important, but I think being respectful is the most important universal. Because no matter who you come in contact with in life, no matter who you associate with in life, you have to be respectful to people. If you're not respectful, you're not going to get too far in life. And healthy friendships, of course, fit into this category. Healthy friendships are built on people being respectful to one another. If you're disrespectful to your friends, you may not have those friends for very long. If you're disrespectful in general, you may find it challenging to find people who want to be friends with you. Okay, so being respectful is something that we should shoot for all across the board to every person we come in contact with, whether we like them or not. And we have to be extra respectful to those people that are our friends, or we might not have them for long. Okay, so we went over the top 5. We're going to go over another 5 next week. And this week's JellyBean Question of the Week winners are Shania Osborne, Mackenzie Lynch, Hannah Martin, Myra Garcia, and Connor McDonald. Great guys. Great job, guys. Come by after school to my office, or even before school, and get your jelly beans. Okay, this week's JellyBean Question of the Week is, of the 5 friendship characteristics we talked about and we learned today, which one to you is the most important and why? I'm looking for the top 5 answers of which is the most important and why. All right, I am out of here. I hope you guys had a great Monday or Tuesday, whenever it is you watch this. And I hope you guys make it a great week. And let's be great friends, and let's be great students this week, Bobcats.